Just enjoy the view while you can, because this is the first and the last. You know, that it was the media team that convinced me. I said, "Well, and then they was like, no, you should stay with this." So I thought it was very much. So I'm really excited about it.
Good evening and welcome to the June 9th, 2022 regular and special meeting of the Chandler City Council. I'd like to call our meeting to order. Clerk, please take the roll.
Mayor Hartke,
Here.
Vice Mayor Rowe,
Here.
Councilmember Harris,
Here.
Councilmember Lopez,
Here.
Councilmember Stewart,
Here.
Councilmember Ellis,
Here.
Councilmember Orlando.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation tonight will be led by Father Robert Elizanz. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, sir, from St. Andrew the Apostle Church, and our invocation, our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilmember Lopez. Father.
Let us pray. God of justice, mercy, and love, we thank you for the gift of life and of our great nation and of our city. We thank you for our councilors and staff and for giving them the opportunity to serve the people of our city of Chandler. Lord, make them good servants of all those they serve and inspire them to speak the truth with respect but without shame, to offer hope to others but without fear, and give glory to you in every word they speak and actions they take as a council tonight and always. Help them to act with character and conviction, to listen with understanding and goodwill, and to speak with charity and restraint. Give them a spirit of service, reminding them that they are stewards of your authority. Give them to be the leaders your people need and deserve. Help them see the humanity and dignity of those who might disagree with them, and to treat all persons, no matter how weak or poor, with the reverence your creation deserves. And finally, Father, renew all of us gathered here today with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build together a community worthy of the human person. We ask this as your sons and daughters, always confident in your goodness and love. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in reciting our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Councilmember Lopez. Council, we looked at our consent agenda and had staff a couple presentations on Monday. So before us is both a consent agenda and then a public hearing. And following that is what is your will related to the consent agenda?
Yeah.
Councilmember Lopez.
So I move for the approval of the regular meeting consent agenda for Thursday, June 9th, items 1 through 21. 21.
Second.
So we have a motion by Councilmember Lopez, a second by Councilmember Harris. Council, any comments related?
Just one comment, if I may, Mayor.
Councilmember Lopez.
So I also want to thank you. I do this very often, that when we have a board and commission appointee, I always try to recognize them, because again, the way that we maintain our city greatness is by our community being involved and continually involved to advise the council. So for the board appointee, or commission appointee of Betty Ramirez, I thank her for her involvement. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to notice that I'm going to be voting no on item number 16,
Voting no on item number,
fiscal year budget amendments.
all right. All right, any additional comments? If not, council, please vote.
Motion carries unanimously, except with the exception of item 16 with Vice Mayor Rowe dissenting.
All right, thank you. So that concludes our regular meeting. We, according to state statute, we need to close out. Welcome to our public hearing, which is item number 22. Public hearing on the adoption of the 2022-23 annual budget and 2023 to 2032 capital improvement program, CIP, and the setting of property tax levies.
Mayor, sorry.
Councilmember Orlando.
A point of order,
Yes, sir.
and I know we already, but did we have any unscheduled public appearance?
We'll do those in conjunction with this. Yes, we do.
Okay, so we'll do it according to the second meeting.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Opening our meeting. If I could have a staff presentation, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's a privilege to be with you here tonight. We're going to talk about the public hearing tonight for our proposed fiscal year 2022 to 23 budget, the capital improvement program for 2023 through 2032, as well as the 2022 to 23 property tax levy. One of the reasons we do this is for transparency's sake. Transparency is key to all that we do here at the City of Chandler, so this allows an opportunity for the public to have a voice in what we do. In fact, as government employees, we really harness that transparency. In fact, we take that home sometimes, and I've been accused by my daughter of being too transparent and not allowing her enough privacy. At least that's what she said in her journal. So actually, let me close this one out. This is the prior presentation. And this one won't load now. There we go. Is that back up now? Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to go through these slides fairly quickly. Some of these will be a repeat from slides you've already seen in prior presentations, but we did want to make sure that they were available to the public as they're looking through tonight's agenda to be able to have access to that information. But we do want to remind them that all of this information and additional information is available at chandleraz.gov/budget, so they can find as much information out about the budget and the budget process as they would like to on that website, or they can contact us in the Management Services Department. So the proposed budget for fiscal year 22-23 is $1.3 billion. Total general fund budget of $412 million. That represents the total budget of a 27.8% increase overall, with the majority of that coming from our capital expenditures. For the general fund, it's a 22.7% increase in general fund. But if you look at the operating portion of the general fund, that's only a 12% increase. So in line with kind of some of the inflationary pressures that we're seeing, as well as some of the other budget increase drivers that we've talked about, and we'll talk about in a slide here in just 1 second. So again, some of those increased drivers of what's driving the budget for this fiscal year. We have had a revenue reset. The prior 2 fiscal years have had some artificially low numbers due to the COVID-19 impacts. We have expenditure increases. Inflation is one of those. Personnel costs is another that's driving some of the increases in our budget. And then, of course, grants. We have additional grant opportunities coming not only from the state, but from the federal government that have really enhanced our budget and allowed us to do some of the projects in our capital plan that's needed. But, of course, those extra dollars increase the budget. And then, of course, we have the additional public safety pension obligation that we're paying down of $50 million, and that's increasing our budget this year. Some of the operating highlights, we've been able to add this budget in with no additional increase to our tax rate. Our property tax rate, in fact, is decreasing, and no new fees. We do have anticipated water, wastewater, and solid waste rate changes that will go into effect July 1st. We are able to maintain our existing service levels, as well as enhancing the programs that are supporting the strategic framework that Council has set. We do add funding for our labor associations, general employee merits and markets. We plan towards our debt reduction, which frees up ongoing revenues in future years by paying one-time dollars now. And we continue to maintain our strong reserves, a 15% general fund contingency and a $10 million debt stabilization reserve. For our capital improvement program, some of the highlights, we continue an emphasis on maintaining our aging infrastructure. We're updating that CIP has been updated to reflect some of the inflationary pressures that we've seen or had seen early in the year. Of course, there's been some additional inflationary pressures over the last couple of months, and so we'll have some shifting during the current fiscal year or the new fiscal year as those projects come in if they're over the anticipated budget. It includes about $119 million of projects for infrastructure related to support the Intel expansion. Again, that $119 million is not just out of pocket for City of Chandler. Majority of that is reimbursed through an agreement with the state as well as with Intel. And it continues to fund some of the requested projects that we've had throughout the city. For example, the police forensic lab, Mesquite Groves Park, fiber upgrades, our tumbleweed expansion, the multi-gen center, and our airport improvements, including the Cooper Road extension. The total CIP for the 10-year total is $1.66 billion. For the fiscal year 2022-23, which the amount that's appropriated, is $597.4 million. For our property tax levy, we do want to remind our residents that for every dollar of property tax that they pay, that does not all come to the City of Chandler. In fact, it's split amongst three kind of primary groups: public schools and community college districts, which receives the majority of that dollar of tax that they pay, Maricopa County and special districts, and then the City of Chandler, which is just about 10% of every dollar that they pay in property tax comes to the City of Chandler. For fiscal year 2022 to 23, our property tax levy is 3.4 or 3.7 billion for the next fiscal year, as compared to the prior year at 3.46 billion. The levy that's produced, or the tax revenue that's produced from that levy in 21-22 was 38.5 million. And for fiscal year 22-23, we project about $40.8 million, or an increase to the tax levy of $2.3 million. The tax rate reduction will go from $1.1126 per $100 of assessed value to 1.1026 per $100 of assessed value. And so what's the impact to the city homeowner, a median value homeowner in the City of Chandler for that tax rate differential? You'll notice in the middle there is our 2023 projected rates. So overall, the increase on the property tax bill because of the increases in property values is $9.66, or about 80 cents per month. So this is a recap of some of the key budget opportunities we've had throughout the year for public comment, for direction from mayor and council. Majority of them are now completed. Tonight is our public hearing and final adoption of the budget. And then we do have the adoption of the final tax levy on June 23rd. And with that, I'd be willing to take any questions.
Council, questions or comments?
Mayor.
Councilmember Orlando.
So you're joking about transparency, but in seriousness, we had a budget survey earlier this year. So a lot of what we do is based upon a lot of the input we get from the residents. Can you give us walk through that so that folks know that are watching? We do this again next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Through the mayor, Councilmember Orlando, thank you for that, because that is one of the things that we try to endorse as much as we can. The public information that we get on the budget, the feedback that we get is crucial to planning for the next fiscal year's budget. So we started in October to send out notifications to the public through their utility bills. It's on our website. We do social media campaigns to try to get as much input as we can through that process. And then we gather all of those comments and lump them into categories of comments. We provide all of that to the mayor and council, so residents have an opportunity to kind of start out the budget process with their feedback. Many of the priorities that we gather through the budget process come from that survey. So if they want an opportunity to have their voice heard on specific issues they feel need corrected or funded, or additional amenities they want added to the city, that's a perfect opportunity for them to do that, as well as any of the other opportunities throughout the budget process. But that's kind of right at the beginning of the budget process and allows them right at the forefront to get their impact or their input to us.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And as you indicated earlier, there are steps along the way where we could get additional impact, obviously. So thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's no other question. I mean, we've gone through this for 7 months now, 8 months. We've had numerous meetings. So if we don't know by now, we're in trouble. So thank you.
Yeah.
Additional comments as part of the public discussion. And council, I must, I want to make an apology to you all that I actually should not have gabbled out for this hearing, as thank you for your point of order, sir. We will be, after our unscheduled public appearances, we will adjourn this meeting and then re-enter a special meeting as required by state law to vote on this. As part of I'm chairing the league's business, finance, and economic development meeting or subsection. And one of the goals we hope to bring to the state is actually that these will just be required at a public meeting rather than having to gavel out and enter again. So we'll see what the appetite is for the other cities to bring that to the state. So sorry, Council, for the confusion that I created. Additional comments? All right, we have, thank you, Matt. Council, we have discussion from audience. I do have a comment card that asked to be entered into the City of Chandler record. So clerk, please do that. This person is not here. I do have one speaker card from Farhana Shifa, who would also like to speak on regard of this. So Farhana Shifa, you have, state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Farhana Shifa, address 5755 West Drake Court, Chandler, Arizona 85226. Honorable Mayor and respected council members, I just wanted to thank you all because at the time of the budget session, you approved some money for some of the programs and initiative in the city. And thank you, Council Member Rene Lopez, for recognizing the commissioners of the city. I serve as an art commissioner in the city and 6 years now. Just finding out, thank you, Councilman Matt Orlando, for notifying that Art Commission got some additional money to work with the school children. I do believe our city will love it, and our art community will absolutely love it, and the teacher community will be very happy. And with that additional money, our staff, those who are working with the commissioners, they are fabulous, especially shout out to Peter Bugs. He and the commissioners, we continuously working on promoting the local artists and local initiative. So that money will give us much more opportunity, not just to help the school children, also engaging the community and the artist community. So I thank you all for this little boost for the art community. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Orlando.
And I thank you, Farhana. I thank you. Thank you for bringing that to my attention because it is an important issue. And as you expressed to me so eloquently when we met was, hey, we were losing a lot of arts in our school because just priorities are taking over. So it's a small thing this year and hopefully we can do more next year, okay? Thank you.
All right, thank you. No additional comments or discussion from our audience related to this item? Seeing none, Council, that closes our public hearing. I'm not going to gavel because I'll be gaveling in a minute. I'm gavel happy today. Just, we're going to ruin this gavel. Next, we have unscheduled public appearances. Do we have any listed?
Mayor Harkey, no, I've not received any cards.
Okay. Council will save our current announcements for our City Council special meeting that will follow. So with that, that concludes this meeting. I am gavel happy. Please take the roll.
Mayor Harkey,
Here.
Vice Mayor Rowe,
Here.
Councilmember Harris,
Here.
Councilmember Lopez,
Here.
Councilmember Stewart,
Here.
Councilmember Ellis,
Still here.
Councilmember Orlando.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Council, we have a single agenda at this special meeting as one action item, which is the annual budget. We've had presentations. We've been working on this since last October, I believe, September, and sending some information to the city. We have carefully watched the impacts of COVID and have come out of that. Is there, why don't we do a motion and a second, and then reserve conversation unless there was someone that would, would like to do something differently at this case. So,
Mayor,
Councilmember Ellis,
I would like to make a motion
okay?
for us to accept the budget that we have discussed for the last.
Okay, so we have a
7.
motion. We have a second.
I second the resolution number 5590, adopting the annual budget.
Right, we have a
He had
motion.
to put the, he
We
had
have
to
a
put the
second.
resolution in there. Okay, we received that resolution too. But the budget is the budget.
So council, before we vote, any comments that you would like to make? Let's start with Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. And, I took a look at the numbers when we first were rolling into this. I said, we are not spending any more money than we did last year. I got to sit here and work for the taxpayer. But then, staff eloquently shared with me, we held the budget in 2020 and we held the budget in 2021 because of COVID. What that did is really put the brakes on a lot of capital improvement, water, infrastructure, roads, things like that, as well as hiring. We put a freeze on hiring for quite a while as well. And so we're playing catch up, and we all know what the market's like. So when I look at the numbers and I see that the majority of this increase, 61.6%, is in capital improvements, that's what you and I pay our taxes for, is so we can get to work on good roads. So my heartburn started to fade a little bit more. Then the inflation thing started to happen, and I saw some of the increases that were coming on and change orders just in this first half of the year. And I was like, oh my God, okay. So I'm looking at the budget. I said, okay, that makes sense. We've got an inflation issue here. Then I realized we're paying our police more. We're paying our fire department more. We are doing incentive for hiring. We're doing things, and that will continue into the next budget season, as well as retaining, what I think are the best staff in the entire state that provide some incredible service for us. And I always tell you, what we do is a customer service project. It's not politics. We are responsible for this stuff that we do, and that costs money to provide that service. And this city delivers it transparently, effectively, efficiently. And I wish I could shake my fist and say we need to do better, but we do pretty good. And I'm kind of a hawk when that comes to that stuff. So $20 billion investment from Intel also put a big amount of cash into our coffer, and we need to spend it. And so we're already doing a tax rate reduction, and we're going to continue to do some things that will improve and let us catch up. And then you add the federal dollars, my heartburn went away. This is a good budget. I will be voting yes on this budget, and I appreciate the work that Dawn and your staff and everybody and all the departments did as it relates to this, and enjoy your vacation. I don't know if y'all take vacation after this. I don't know if you take vacation after this, but you should. All right, great. Thank you, Mayor.
Council, additional comments?
Mayor.
Councilmember Lando, then we'll go to the. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Yeah, and great words. I truly appreciate that. I mean, this is one of the most exciting budgets we've done in a long, long time. In fact, I had a comment made from a resident asking what we're doing about our streets. And Mayor, it goes back to what you said a couple of weeks ago. You were riding with another political official, and he said, if you want to know where good streets are maintained, go to Chandler, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. I apologize. You could tell the story later. But, and thank you, Ms. Lang, for getting this information. Last year, for example, we spent about $31 million in our streets, lighting, parking lots, equipment, intersections. This year, it's $82 million. So we're listening, we're hearing what you have to say. Streets are important for us to get us from point A to point B and in between. So we've also heard you talk about parks and recreation. We've increased the infrastructure and those activities, and we got a lot more work to do in our parks and recreation. So infrastructure, and I don't want to say it's been neglected, but the key word we're doing right now is not only maintaining some of the infrastructure, but we're enhancing the infrastructure. And to me, that sends a much stronger signal to our residents that we are listening to you. So with that, I'm excited with this budget. Thank you, Mayor.
Let me go to Councilmember Ellis, and then we'll go to this side. Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you, Mayor. Wanted to kind of bring it all together. When we heard our city manager says that every city wants to be Chandler. They'll want to, if they don't know it yet, they still want to be Chandler. Having lived here for 35 years, this is one of the best budget that I've ever seen. It's so really forward thinking in the things that we are doing. Mark, I appreciate you looking into that part and giving us the go ahead to move forward with the budget. It is an amazing budget. I'm excited about what we are doing. Another thing that I think that was really part of the budget that I really appreciate is the fact that every council member that is sitting up here had something on their heart to do for the city of Chandler. And we had an opportunity because staff took the time to sit down with us and ask us the questions, the right questions, for us to be able to implement those into the budget. So I appreciate. Don, there's nobody like you that can really lead this thing. And I appreciate the fact that you took two jobs to make this thing happen, and you're going to continue to make it happen. So you at the RAN, I think Chandler is really on a good path. Thank you again. Mayor, you have done an amazing job leading us with this budget. I don't think I will want to work with anybody else concerning the way that you have empowered us as council members to come to the table. Each one of us felt recognized, we felt heard, that you as a leader has really given us an opportunity to be who we are, who the people of Chandler had elected us to be on this council. Thank you again for your leadership. Really appreciate that. Thank you again to all of you council members for letting me be me. Matt Dunbar. Where's Matt? Where's Matt? There he is, right over there. So I was gonna finish with a joke. Well, right now he took it away. Forget about the joke. I'll tell you about the joke later. I'll tell you about the joke later. But thank you, council members, for truly, I mean, letting me be me and being able to voice my opinion and still move forward with what I wanted to do. Thank you.
So Councilmember Ellis, we hope you'll share your joke during your council member announcements. So
Okay. Yes, I'll do
Councilmember Lee.
that then. You were setting me up.
Let me turn to the right. Councilmember Harris.
Yeah, thank you. This budget, I got to tell you that the resources we listened to our residents. We took in an account what you put in on those surveys. We spent time and we sat in the trenches with those that reached out and those that really wanted to be heard to make sure we had that extra that extra street light or that alleyway that needs to be cleaned or something or some service that needs to be done. And I can truly say that I'm really proud that I love our roads. I love the fact that graffiti is cleaned off the building immediately. I took a picture one time. I mean, by the time I circled back around the corner, it was gone. But that comes from that comes from number one, us hearing you and hearing what you want this budget to look like. This this budget represents the voices of Chandler. It's a very inclusive budget. I think Dawn, you did a wonderful job in your team in putting this together, and Andy and Mr. Dunbar done did it again. Uh, and so I'm really just proud to be able to say this is one of the best budgets that I had to work on with a great group of people who I truly respect working with here on the dais. And sometimes I don't like working with council member Renee Najee. I'm trying to make them smile. But anyways, I really enjoy working on the budget. It was long, it was worth the time, and I really do believe that the residents was represented in this budget. And thank you, Fahana, for your kind words as it regards to the budget. Thanks.
Councilmember Lopez.
Yeah, I'm starting to run out of things to add on here. So the only thing I will add is that again, this is will be my eighth and final budget. Um, we've had a lot of good budgets before. I don't know if anybody enjoys budgets like Don does, but you know, we continue to, and again, the term she uses a lot, which I never heard before until coming, which we all do in our households, which is priority based budgeting. And we do that every year, and that's where we start off. And the leadership with the mayor, the council, down to the city manager and all the staff and directors, everybody understands, we're rowing in that same direction. They understand the scope of government that we are here to do, the roads, the infrastructure, the water. the police, the fire and public safety. That is our purpose, and we do it pretty darn well. And for us to be able to be efficient and effective as we grow, to be so efficient and effective that we can continue out of those 7 budgets. I mean, out of those 8 budgets, we lowered the city portion of the property tax 7 times, which is amazing to me. I mean, to maintain the level of services that we have and expand even some of the services, such as, we're continuing to enhance the airport. We're continuing to add on like the mental health with police. These things that, again, are truly needed, but yet we're not having to raise taxes in order to do it. So we're doing it well. We keep it sharper than that saw. We keep on being efficient, effective within the government, as we should. So I want to thank everybody that's involved in the budget, all the input from the citizenry out there that came to us and said what their priorities are. Hopefully we got all of your projects in. Probably not every one, because again, we need to make sure we stay within our lane. But all in all, this is a great budget. And like Councilmember Stewart said, I kind of shook my head when I saw the percent jump and increase. But again, Don pointing out, and as was mentioned, I mean, we held a lot of things back during COVID. It was scary for everyone. We didn't know what was going to happen. So we held back a lot of headcount. We held back a lot of capital because we just did not know. And now we are in a good place to be able to start the hiring when we can find them, and then also start those capital projects back up to maintain the quality of life that you all expect. So thank you, Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. This is a final budget opportunity for both of us, and the 8th and final. I would say Chandler is blessed, and there is, and we all realize that in different ways. And whether you value the parks or the schools or the many businesses that decide to locate here, we are blessed. This is a budget that it's a very large budget, and I think, and I'm quite sure that a part of this is because of what's happening with Intel, which is a good thing for Chandler. And I also know that there's been some pent up demand for spending because of the restraint that was shown in the previous years. Something that I'd really pushed for during those times and irritated people because of it. But I'm glad that there was restraint. I hope that next year, when these discussions are occurring, no one will have to shake their fist and say, we need to do better. We need to do as good as we can. And if we're taking in money because we are doing so well, if there's an opportunity to give it back to the people that live here and work here and try to make a go of it, then we should be doing that. So it's our budget. I'm going to vote for it. And this is it. Thank you.
And I'll close with some comments related to this. I too, the sticker shock was big for me with this budget, and for all the reasons that Councilmember Stewart brought in. I get it. I understand. Some other things that I'm glad that we're doing in this budget. We have used a number of contract employees, for example, in taking care of our parks, rather than hiring people that will make sure from whether it's irrigation to grass maintenance to gophers, that it's all their job. And I think we can promise some better fields to those with children, with our soccer and baseball fields, which has been very important to families. So it's been an artificial number to say that they've not been part of our workforce since we've had them under contract labor, but this will give us a better accountability for our parks. I'm pleased with that. I'm pleased that we're able to put $50 million to PSPRS to help pay down the public safety pension. I really would like to, in my second term, to be able to bring that down, and we're actually in a good position to bring that down to where it's quite manageable and it's not going to be something looming over our heads. And then also with that, we'll be saving $6-7 million, if not more, a year that we won't be spending into that particular fund. And anytime I can take one-time dollars, of which we are rich with right now because of companies like Intel expanding, and convert those one-time dollars of the additional rental tax or construction or things happening in our community and turn those into ongoing dollars, whether it's PSPRS or the streetlight projects. I'm always looking for ways, and I want to thank staff for recommending and helping us find these. And I will continue to be looking to you to help us look at the bottom line of ongoing dollars. It's to me, we're in a very good place today. There will be a time that we're not, as we've not been in the past with the recession. I'm confident that we have ample reserves that in case and when we see a downturn, we will be able to weather that, and whether that downturn comes from legislation that affects us negatively or the economy, I think we're prepared for that. And again, I want to thank staff and council for being quite thoughtful. This has been something that's been very important to you as well. So with that, none of us could predict inflation and the cost of working, of hiring great staff, which is a huge part of this. But again, I think this gets us there, and I want to thank city manager and all the staff that brings us to this point. So with that, council, please vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Thank you. Next on our agenda is current events. Got a couple of things I'd like to bring up. First of all, happy birthday to Councilmember Lopez, belated birthday. Happy belated birthday to City Manager Josh, and hope you're going to be able to celebrate your birthday this weekend if you weren't able the previous one. On June 14th, we'll be joining the nation and also celebrating Flag Day. This commemorates the day in 1777 when the Second Continental Congress adopted the Stars and Stripes as the official U.S. flag, and George Washington led this effort. He realized that the people fighting the Revolutionary War needed a unique symbol of freedom. And in 1916, 100 years later, President Woodrow Wilson established Flag Day. So here's a fun fact. Though Betsy Ross is believed to have sewn the first American flag, it was a woman named Frances Hopkinson who designed it. And I had the privilege of being in DC just a couple weeks ago, and we spent time at the Smithsonian, and I was freshly inspired as a citizen of this country of the cost, but also the stories that are behind us, like the flag and others that have stood as memorials and inspiration from time ago to future that remind us of what we are about, a beacon across this world that invites people to join the American dream, which we see with so many of our legal immigrants here that have come and have prospered across our country. So happy Flag Day coming up next week. And lastly, our summer continues to warm up. Stay safe around water. I'd like to remind everyone the ABCs of pool safety: adult supervision, barriers around pools, and take classes. And I'm glad as part of this budget that our pools have lifeguards, and there's other cities such as Phoenix and Tucson that are still struggling to get lifeguards to be able to open all their pools. And I'm grateful for our staff and our community stepping up to where that all of our pools will be open and classes teaching swimming will be offered to all children who seek that. So with that, Councilmember Harris.
What about adults? So thank you so much, Mayor. Just wanted to acknowledge what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a dashiki, and this dashiki is more African American culture type businessmen wear. So I thought, what befitting week to wear it during Chandler's Freedom Week, and to add a little diversity and culture to this dais, I am wearing a dashiki, just so you all would know. And I'm so excited to, just as a point of privilege, I found out today that I have Scottish blood in me. So, so that, so I'm Scottish too. So I want to make these announcements, but I'm Scottish, man. All right. I'll have a kilt on next week.
But I was gonna ask.
You know it, baby. You know it. All right. Well, we are announcing Freedom Week in Chandler to commemorate Juneteenth on Sunday, June 19th. So we have a whole week of events planned for you guys this week. Thursday, June 16th, 6:30 p.m. Freedom Week kickoff event at Chandler Gilbert Community College. That is going to be an amazing event. And Councilwoman Ellis is going to be doing a little keynote speaking there. So we're going to be looking forward to her. And I know many of the council members are going to be there. And Mayor, you're always there. And so make sure you guys govern yourself accordingly. And then on Friday, June 17th at 6 p.m., make sure you go to the Miss Juneteenth pageant at the Chandler Center of the Arts. Tickets are available. Self-help community will be hosting this. And the winner of the pageant will go on to the National Juneteenth pageant celebration. That's going to be sometime in the later part of the year. So you definitely want to check it out. Tickets are available. And let me just tell you, the young ladies that's going to be participating in this pageant are from Chandler High School and other schools around the area. So make sure you guys get your tickets. Saturday, June 18th, 7 to 9:30 p.m. There's going to be culture, music in the park with my man, Vaughn Willis and Ear Candy. Come and watch the mayor skip hop his way to a hip hop beat that will be happening in Dr. Chandler AJ Park. That was an announcement. I just made that up on the spot, Mayor. He's a dancing machine. You want to come and check it out along with other council members. We're going to be there. Councilwoman and I, we were doing some line dancing or something. But if you want to see your councilman dance, come on out to the Saturday Culture Music in the Park. And lastly, Chandler Men of Action will be hosting their 4th annual Founding Father Kitchen Mixer. It's Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all the fathers that's here. And so we're going to be celebrating there, and make sure you guys bring someone. So get all the information you need at chandleraz.gov. That's it.
Before we move on, I'm just going to say, not going to happen.
Oh, man.
Thus, my dance moves have been considered or called awkward. Councilmember Lopez.
It'd be interesting to see you skip hop. The only announcement I have is to thank Councilmember O.D. Harris's ancestry for Scotch whiskey. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Oh, yeah.
Vice Mayor.
Nothing for me, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. Folks, we live in a pretty cool city. I had the pleasure of attending Princeton's Smart Car Autonomous Vehicle Summit this past weekend and representing the community, and spoke on 2 different panels. And I will tell you, the city of Chandler came up in about 4 or 5 different talks about what we did to coordinate AV driving and Waymo in Chandler. They talked about our fire department working with, or I did, talked about our fire department working with them, kind of gave them some of the where to's and what fors. But we were literally the belle of the ball at this thing. And you wouldn't think it from a little town of 280,000 people. But the things that we're doing here, it's like the Jetsons, right? And when people would ask me, they just kept coming up to me and saying, so they really don't have people in them? They really don't have drivers? How does that work? And I pull up this little video. But Dr. Kornhauser there and Jerry, who organized the whole event, were the best hosts. And we were able to share our story with cities from all over the world that were attending this thing. So we had a great time. They invited my wife to attend with me. And of course, the taxpayer didn't pay for that. They invited me, and I went on their dime. But we were able to share our story. And I just want y'all to know that we've got some pretty cool things going on here in Chandler. Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to reiterate the fact that we just had a proclamation we got in Juneteenth, as you heard, with this coming week. It's going to be the week of freedom. On Monday night, we had a group of community leaders and partners that joined us here in the chamber to receive that proclamation. A proclamation is something that the mayor allowed us to do in the city, or we do in the city, to just put a point in time and declare that something is really important to the city of Chandler. And the Juneteenth proclamation is saying that now this is part of the history and we want the people of Chandler to know about it. We had Glenn Woods, Miss Lavon be here, Dr. Williams Crawford was here, Erica Maxwell was here, Keisha Beach, and Dr. Adama Salou, and all the other members from the Chamber Diversity DEI Community Office who were there. They came and they joined the mayor and Councilmember Harris to receive that proclamation. The second thing that I have is the diversity mini grants that we have coming up. So if you're part of an organization right now, whether it's a school, a nonprofit, community group, we encourage you to go on the website and fill out the application on the chandleraz.gov. We have $20,000 right now that we are going to be giving small grants to those organizations. So it's important. And Nikki wanted me to pass on a thank you to who is she is the supervisor of the DEI office now on the fifth floor. She wanted to thank mayor and council for increasing, almost doubling the amount of money that we have in that fund to be able to engage with our organization in the community. So thank you again, Mayor, Council, for a job well done. Thank you, Nikki, for always keeping us updated in the community with what's happening in the DEI space.
Councilmember
That's it.
Orlando.
So, Councilmember Stewart, you realize you're at the second rated university at that state. It's Rutgers, my alma mater.
Rutgers number
is
one, Princeton number
which is
two.
right across the river. So when you go to Rutgers, then you could be proud, all right? And number two, just before, because you're going to ask the mayor and I, no, we were not at the commemoration of the first flag. Right, Mayor? Nothing else said, Mayor.
City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I won't belabor the point about the budget anymore, but just to give a quick thank you to all of you for all your support throughout the budget process. And thank you for all your positive comments and support tonight in adopting this budget. It has been an interesting and challenging process, but also a really fun one. And I'm very proud of the work that our staff did to produce this year's budget. I want to particularly recognize Dawn Lang, as well as Matt Dunbar. We have a few members of our budget division staff here as well tonight. So thank you to all of them for this many-month process that has produced, I think, a very solid and very exciting budget for the next fiscal year. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Council. Happy Father's Day.
You
Councilman
wanted me
Graves.
to finish with a joke.
Bring us home.
Matt, what does that mean? Well, this is a happy council member when the budget is voted on.
And with that,